Financial advising versus financial awareness. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Banking Bros podcast. I'm Jonah.
I'm JDew. Today we're talking about why you may not need a financial advisor, but you definitely need financial awareness. We're about to show you how not knowing your own financial situation is crippling you and how you could take control and start building wealth by knowing what and where and when and why.
So today's episode specifically, we're going to talk about how too many people hand over their money decisions to others. But we think that once you understand the basics, you'll be able to make the money moves, the smart money moves yourself. So that's what today's episode's all about. Let's dive in.
Let's get into it and talk about your financial effectiveness, making informed decisions, taking control, those types of things. I think all of us want financial freedom, and we want that type of education, but maybe because we don't learn it in school, we just don't ever understand how to start.
Yeah, I think
that was me.
Well, I think some people get a little bit of their education from social media and the internet these days, and then they apply as much as makes sense for them in the place that they are to their situation. And so there are a couple of people that have made a living and a killing in this arena, and it's because the average person is marketed to like crazy, and so they buy lots of things, and so they end up with very little savings, very little liquidity, high debt, and so if you see messaging that says, "Don't get this credit card, get this one because of the interest rate's lower and it'll save you a few dollars in the long run," that's where they were, that's where they are, and so they're going to go, "Oh, well, that's good advice. Actually, it's actually really, strong advice for where I am." And then as they move forward, maybe they go, "Oh my goodness, the debt's killing me, so maybe I want to pay it off." So they go searching for that advice, right? And then they find people that say, pay off the credit cards, don't actually use them, or use this one, or don't do that. And so they go, "Oh, perfect, that's advice for me right now, and that's what I'll take, that's what I'll use, because that's what makes sense for me right now." And they never really evolve or dive deep into a higher level of financial education. And so they have these dreams in their head about being rich and wealthy and providing, and they do not have a game plan to get there, and they don't have anyone in their life that's achieved it that would be willing to pour into them, and they don't have good references, and it is what it is. It's just a big cycle. That's what I think.
Yeah, so if you are in that space and you're in that place mentally, just know that in our client community right now, we are launching a brand new course for you, and that course is going to help you understand that financial paradigm shift you may need if your awareness is low. So we're working on that right now, early summer 2025. It's coming to our clients, and this summer, it's an absolutely free offer in our educational system, the Cash Compound. We want you to jump in. So hit us up if you're already working with us and you're like, "Oh, something new, I need that, and maybe I need to get my spouse on it," or something like that.
Yep.
Okay, Jonah, what we've got now is a little bit of a financial awareness quiz. And the last 2 summers, I've been able to speak at a business summer camp, kind of an entrepreneurial incubator for teenagers. So we're going to watch a little something here, talk about it, and get into the bulk of our episode to see where people are starting from at, 15, 16, 17, or 18 years old. Here we go. Here we go. Cash Compound game, we're back again, and we've got some college-age students right here. One just graduated in accounting, and one is currently taking humanities. We're going to see if they are financially fit. We've got a bunch of questions for you, gentlemen, and the answer is a money term that starts with D. Slang term for money, also uncooked bread. Dough is correct. All right, good job. A single Federal Reserve note.
$1.
A dollar. Very good, sir. You're on the board. There it is. Hey, you can't cheer for that. The act of putting money in the bank. Deposit. Yes. A 10-cent piece. Dime. Spanish for money. Here it is. To accept an offer of something.
It's not a deal.
Deal. It's a deal. Getting something at a lower price.
Discount. The online financial coach. Last name, Ramsey. Dave. Money automatically leaving your bank account.
Deposit.
Money automatically leaving your bank account.
Debit.
Ooh, good one. I might have to take that one. I had draft. I think debit works. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to add that to my list. Money owed to someone else.
Debt.
Debt is correct. All right. When the government is behind on the budget each year.
Deficit.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. So that was fun and that was easy. That's where it starts. I did a little bit of homework to come up with that fun game for that entrepreneurial class, but honestly, I would say at that age, I don't think I would have done as well as those guys. I just didn't grow up with money on my mind. Financial awareness is the knowledge and understanding of how money works in various aspects of life. And it includes knowing, first off, your own financial situation. And I think sometimes people hit the battlefield and they look for targets and they look for the enemy, but they need to know where they are. They've got to know where they are when they start out. So what would you say, Jonah, is some of the things we need to do, maybe, once we figure out where we are, our income, our expenses, what we want, what we're thinking about, assets, liabilities, what do we do next?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you've got to learn how to manage those things effectively. So you mentioned things like income and expenses. We've talked about this in a few episodes here recently, tracking what your income is. So yeah, it could be irregular. Maybe you work a contract job or something like that, but you can still track it. You can still look at tendencies or trends. You can still say, well, if I do this many hours, it should equal this much. Or if I complete this many projects, it should equal this much. So you've got to track it. And that includes expenses also. So I'm talking about creating budgets, tracking those expenses. Some people don't track expenses because they think it could be difficult. They go, well, I just don't know how much dinner is going to cost. And it's like, no, you could tell yourself how much dinner is going to cost. Like, hey, I'm not going to spend more than $20 on dinner or $30 on dinner. It just depends on what you're
and there's the difference.
Eat,
you're kind of nuancing between budget, deciding in advance, and tracking what happened. You know?
I'm saying both. You've got to create budgets, and then you've got to track. You've got to make sure that you stuck to it. There's no help if you create a budget. So let's pretend that you create this beautiful budget. Maybe you put it on a dry erase board, convert the dry erase board to paper. Maybe you laminate it. You put it on the fridge. You put it on your phone, whatever.
Okay.
And then you don't track anything. And you went out to
We've all
eat.
done
You went
it.
all
We've
right.
all done
But
it.
you go out all month and you do all of your expenses and your bills, and whatever, and you didn't come back and track anything. What was the point of your budget? How did you stay in it?
It was, it looked good.
Right. And so that's what I mean. Creating budgets, tracking it, and then setting financial goals. So saying, hey, if what's important to me is to take the family vacation to Hawaii, then go map it out. Like they can tell you right now, these websites will tell you how much the flights cost, and you can go on the website of the hotel you want to stay at and see how much they're charging for rooms.
Sure.
And you can budget for
And these days you can ask ChatGPT to find you some discounts.
Yeah, you can do all of those things. Okay. And then once you've got your financial goal set, now you've got something that you can work toward. But it takes actually like intentional tracking, intentional creating, intentional setting, and accomplishing goals. And so that's what I think is a big time financial awareness. Like get an understanding of where you are, like you said, and then get an understanding of where you want to be or what you want to accomplish. So that's really, really important. I think that a lot of people also with the financial awareness category, they've just got to understand like financial literacy basics, honestly. Things like inflation, things like compound interest. So actually, we've got an inflation episode coming up here. So if you're listening to our podcast in the future, I think it's 2 or 3 weeks out, we're going to be talking about inflation and maybe even talking about some of the tariffs lately. And I think that, to me, is big because it's this financial literacy. Like, do I actually care about inflation? Did you realize that there's like 6 different types of inflation?
Right.
Which one's actually happening right now where we live that's causing the problems? What happens if this sustains? What does it actually do? If you know that stuff, I can prepare for the future. I can go, well, if this is the type of inflation we have and this type of inflation causes X, then I need to be prepared for X a year from now because it's coming.
Yeah.
So that
I have a question for you. There's many people out there who listen to our podcast and other places who think that money is too complicated and it's just not their personality
Sure.
How good of an excuse is that? What do they do if they're listening to us and they go, well, I need to get a grip on something like inflation, but I'm not excited to learn that?
Yeah.
You have any thoughts?
Well, I think plug into some people that you like, that don't drive you up a wall listening to them. That would be first.
Right.
And then maybe even throw in your comments, right? If I find somebody that I really, really, really like, I've got a couple people I really, really like on YouTube that I listen to, like put comments under their videos. Hey, it's me again. Could you please talk about this? Hey, it's me again. It'd be really helpful to talk about this. They're going to take that feedback. Anybody would, right? And they're probably going to create videos and content around that. So that's what I'd probably encourage you to do. If it's like, oh, it's not my thing, but I'd really like to learn, go find someone you really like to listen to and ask them to teach you about it. Right?
I think I wasn't asking to like bait you into that. I'm wondering, there are a lot of people out there who like, I'm busy doing other things.
Yep.
I don't like it. So I didn't have as good of an answer, I think, as you just gave. But you're right. There are plenty of places where you can find online these days where you could potentially go a mile deep on, and like it doesn't drive you up a wall. So I think that's pretty good advice. All right. This financial awareness is going to empower you too. In our recap here, build your wealth through informed decisions, control your spending and savings. We didn't really mention savings yet this episode, but it's a huge part of being prepared for the future. Having the reserves to be able to do what you want to do and accomplish the goals you want. Understand the impact of debt and how to reduce it. Each and every time I'm live on TikTok, it might be the Cash Compound or our namesake right here, the Banking Bros podcast. On that handle, I was live again yesterday as we record this, and so many people jump over the fact that they are paying out 20 or so % each month on their outstanding credit cards.
Yeah, that's a lot, though.
You're just not going to win if you're going to deal with that debt all the time.
You can float. You can,
which
you
they
can
are,
make it
is
by,
the thing. So but you're not going to win.
But you have a big financial event, you're probably going to be hurting. Maybe you don't have the space to put that big financial event back on the credit card, or maybe you do, but now your credit card's full, maxed out. Now you've got all of this interest. There's so many things that can come get you if that's the game that you're playing, right?
Yep.
So that's not super ideal, and we help a lot of people understand that, and not only understand that, but move forward with a different direction. And I think that's really important.
Okay, let's go to our second video here. We pulled this off the internet from one of our pals, one of our buddies down in Miami, looking real fresh all the time. He walked up to a couple guys on the street, and we're trying to gauge their financial awareness and why it's important in these days specifically. And that's our next point. Let's listen.
These 5 questions and win $500. How many cents are in a dollar? 100. All right, cool. What does ROI stand for?
Return on investment. Yeah.
Come on, man. That's too easy.
How do you calculate net worth?
By all the things that you own.
Okay, what else?
Your investment. Real estate.
What?
What is it called? It starts with an A.
2,000 years later.
Is it an acronym or like a word?
It's a word that means all the stuff that you own.
That's okay.
If you follow me on Instagram and you get a second chance. What does EBITDA stand for?
EBITDA? Oh, we ain't getting this one. Yeah, I have no idea.
You got me.
Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization.
Yeah, I would not know.
All right. Shout out to my boy Josh down there in Miami. I don't know if he's in Miami when he did that one, but he is also teaching and preaching what we like to guide people toward, and that is the infinite banking concept, where it's really become the financial foundational process for us. But why it's important in these days and ages is because we live in a world that is highly based on cash flow, in and out, credit, in and out, assets, in and out, those types of things to calculate net worth, which those guys kind of struggled on. But I'll tell you right now, I didn't go to business school, and so the idea of something like EBITDA, earnings, before all that stuff that goes along with it, that's not stuff that I grew up knowing, talking about, or even considered until I was already in like my 3rd or 4th business.
Yeah. Well, I think the more that you know, the better it is to make informed decisions. The more that you know, the easier it is to avoid mistakes. The more that you know, the easier it is to avoid unnecessary fees, charges.
Fees and charges for show.
The more you know, the easier it is to vet good, sound financial decisions. The more you know, the easier it is to say, oh, that's an investment I do want to move toward, or something that I want to avoid, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's most important when it comes to financial awareness, is you've got to continue to learn. So even if financial awareness is not your thing, money is not your thing. I've heard lots of people say that. But here's the problem. We deal with money every day. Cash flow, like you just said, money goes in, money goes out every day. You're marketed to every day. You have to spend money every day. You need money for tomorrow and next year every day. If you're not, you have to think about something.
Right.
Like you can't just ignore. If you are that type of person who's like, no, I can just ignore and I will just ignore.
Okay.
You don't be surprised when you're not getting ahead. Like that shouldn't surprise you.
Well, those people are not probably listening today.
Sure.
But if someone dragged you into this conversation, you're probably going to be in trouble.
Right.
And the reason you're going to be in trouble, I think this is what people have a poor appreciation for. They have a poor appreciation for how much money they will actually need in the future.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I've never overestimated how much money I was going to need.
Yep.
And so because I am always in a practical environment of not having everything that I want, or not being able to move in every direction that I could because of the opportunity cost, I used money for something else. I need to understand how to be prepared for tomorrow.
Yep.
Also, very obvious, we talk about this. This is categories for different episodes, but we're all living longer. We're all trying to not work as hard. Our bodies are physically still here, but they're getting tired and old. Mm-hmm. So we've got to have cash flow. We've got to have reserves. We've got to have good, sound investments for money coming in that we can actually use. We talk about that a lot as well. And if you don't have those things, your future confidence is just tanking.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal for a lot of people. What you want to be able to do is plan for the future with confidence. Make decisions without actually needing constant advice. Right? I want to be able to say, should I buy this car or that car? And go, I actually have the tools sitting right here myself, maybe talking with my spouse, to determine exactly what that is. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I don't have to I need to go ask somebody. I don't really know. Who knows? Let me go search on the internet. I don't know. I show up to the car dealership. I still don't know. And then I get sold to.
Right.
And then it's not actually what I needed.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I didn't know. And that's what we're trying to help you avoid. That was just an example of a car thing, right? But that's everything. That's the same thing that we're talking about. Jeremiah just mentioned about having as much money as you need in the future. Like if I know the number, then it makes it way easier. Am I reaching that goal? What do I need to do to accomplish that goal? How much have I put away already? Because I know, and it makes you sleep better at night, and I don't have all this stress and anxiety and everything else. So
I think some people potentially don't want the stress of realizing how bad their positioning is.
Yeah, that could be true.
Yeah, I think I've been there at times, right? You avoid certain areas of your life. We talk about that. Faith, family, fitness, finances. They avoid certain areas because they're like, man, I'm about to get put in my place if I become aware of it.
Sure.
And I don't want to. Maybe because there's enough money in my bank account currently to last me through this pay period. Maybe because the cereal aisle in my local grocery store is full of 15 different types. I'm just going to assume I can make it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should. I've seen a couple videos on the internet where people go on the street, like we just watched, and they ask people how much money is in their savings account.
Yeah, I've seen some
and
of
I
those.
feel like maybe we should do some of those. How much money's in your savings account, and see what people are, what they say, right? And then ask them, well, what are you saving for, and are you, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you feel it's enough? Do you feel financial stress and pressure?
Right.
Or you're like, no, I'm good with that amount. That'd be an interesting. Are you good with the amount that you've got saved?
Yep. And what are you going to do different to change it, right?
Yep.
I bet you we get a lot of answers, and I bet you a couple people would say,
Yep.
all
sorts of things.
no idea.
All sorts of things, right? And those are the people that are willing to talk to you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because we've been rejected on the street a few times. Okay, another one that we talk about from time to time, but I want to have more of a community environment and awareness around this, is actually your taxes.
Sure.
We have done significant things over the years to try to reduce our taxable burden. And many people who are in the entrepreneurial space, they are self-employed or they have a business system. They realize that is money to be saved in Texas. A lot of people who work at JOB do not have all the options and flexibility, and they don't think about it as much because they've got some sort of HR plan that is supposed to take care of everything. Well, they told me, or I filled out my W1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's good enough. But taxes are a huge expense, and if you can reduce your liability, this is a normal thing, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of like Finance 101. We've been doing some general topics this spring. This is not for the super savvy person, probably, this episode, but you can lower your taxable income and what the IRS is supposed to be collecting from you legally, ethically, morally, and you need to go at it.
Have you seen the videos on the internet where it's like the teenager that gets their paycheck for the first time?
Once or twice.
And then they just go through the line item, the pay stub on the top of the check.
Oh, yeah.
And they start looking through the line items and they're like, Social Security. I don't know.
Right.
What is that? And why would I need it?
Yep.
I just started working at the movie theater. That sort of thing. I saw one recently. It was really funny. Young girl, she's got to be 16, 17, just got her first check, and she went line by line.
Okay.
And was even asking very intelligent questions like, oh, Medicare, what is that?
Sure.
Why'd they take it from me? How do I get it back? Oh, I can't get it till I'm okay, can you go get it? Why don't you sign up, moms? Because we need this. They took it. And her mom was like, I don't qualify.
Right.
That sort of thing. And they're like, excuse me. It was funny.
I feel like that type of personality is more of your personality because when I started working at the grocery store, I started working at Hardee's first. What's up, East Coast? Carl's Jr. West Coast in my junior year. Summer before my junior year. And then I worked at the grocery store. Okay. At the same time. And during school, summer, things like that. And I looked at this stuff, saw what they took out, got mad, moved on with my life. Do you agree? I think I'm more common than the people who actually go and try to figure out how to get it back. But I think that's you, but it's not me.
Yeah. I mean, when I was working at 15, 16, 17, I wasn't super curious about that stuff.
Right, I wasn't.
So I also didn't think about how to get it back. But I also made I didn't move on in the sense of I'm not going to think about it anymore. For me, I make mental notes. They take stuff out. I don't exactly know what they take out, but they take 3, 4, 5 things out. I know that, and then I'll keep moving because I don't know enough to know what it is or how to get it back. But
we also did not have smartphones at that time, and I feel like now you can, with the flick of the wrist, get so much, or voice messaging AI, you can figure stuff out, and some of this you can recoup. Okay, so if you are not the type of person who has done your own homework and research, the core message of this podcast is financial awareness and financial advisors. We get asked all the time if we are financial advisors. What does that mean? What doesn't that mean? And before we get into some of the topical connection or confusion between those two things, awareness versus advisors, I got one more video for you, Jonah. Now, this guy I have seen. I'm not sure that this video that I found of him came from his profile.
Okay.
Somebody else reposted it or something.
Yep.
But what we're going to do is put on the screen the 7 questions you need to ask any financial advisor. Disclaimer, this guy I'm not endorsing. I think he has said and done several things that I would disagree with. Okay. We're not necessarily endorsing anybody we've seen so far, but he's got some good stuff here for this episode. Let's listen.
The 7 questions you need to ask any financial advisor before you work with them. Number 1, what are your credentials? All credentials are not created equal, and even if you have credentials, you still might be a ding-dong. Number 2, are they a fiduciary? This means they're legally supposed to put your interests first, but even the devil can cite scripture for their own purposes. Number 3, how do they get paid? If it's a percentage of your assets, they get paid more if you do better, and they also get paid if you do worse, and they get paid if they do absolutely nothing. Number 4, what are they going to do with your money? Index funds? You can do that. Stock picking? That doesn't work. So make sure it's a strategy you can't do on your own or don't want to do on your own. Number 5, will they teach you? Because if they're just there to confuse you and pretend that you can't understand the language without them, just so they stay relevant, they're not worth your time. Number 6, what are they offering in value beyond investment returns? Because they're not beating the market anytime soon. So they better be there to protect you from the single most dangerous thing in investing, your own emotions. Number 7, how do they invest their own money? They don't have to answer this one, but if they don't, or they're not buying what they're selling, there's your sign.
Okay, so Jonah, I want you to chat about this right here. He said a lot of good things.
He did.
And a lot of things that I think I needed to know before I said, well, to be good with money, I need to place money in an advisor's hands. Sure. I think that's how most people operate. But what's your take on that stuff so far?
Well, I think the first thing that I'm kind of noticing with his question, 7 questions, is something that took me a lot of years to figure out. But I think the most important one is actually to vet the people that you work with before you work with them. There's been a couple stories in the last year or so of like people getting second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions.
Okay.
And it working out really well for them because they did that. And I started to think through and realize I don't get a lot of second and third opinions. So I do the research the first time and then like, okay, I think I made a good decision, but I don't actually like interview the person before saying this is what we're going to go with. So I don't know. I mean, it comes to, like he's talking about financial advisors, but you could be talking about anything, right? You could be talking about, your plumber, but maybe you should interview a person or two before you say, you know what, this is the person that's going to fix the sink. Sometimes we get into these emergency situations because the sink is leaking, the bathtub's leaking.
For sure. Yeah.
And then you're just like, first person to show up is good to go. And actually I've started to realize lately, like, no, you need to take some time here and figure out who you're working with. And like they said, some of the questions that I really liked, or one of them that I really liked was, what value do they bring you beyond just the initial reason I called you or the reason that we're here?
Yep.
I think that's really helpful.
Is there an ongoing educational system where they teach you something so you can be more informed? That brought me to a thought here. I want you to keep going, or I'll peg you with some questions. But Proverbs 18:17 from the good book, the one who states his case first seems right until the other comes and examines him. It's kind of what you're saying there.
Yep.
Plumber 1 versus plumber 2. You know what I'm saying? Well, this guy's pants are sagging real low, and he spent 30 minutes underneath my house.
Showed up real dirty, spent 30 minutes.
So I figured he was good enough.
Said a bunch of words I didn't really understand.
Right.
Said he could fix it
Right.
and have it done tomorrow for $1,000. You're like, okay, fine.
Good to go.
Yeah. Where the next person says, oh, this doesn't actually need to be fixed. You need to do this to stop this from happening, or else it's just going to keep happening next week.
When it comes to home services, we're going to go down that path for a second. When it comes to home services, true or false, the guy who's looking at your stuff today, who you've called into service or maintenance something, do they or do they not every single time say, I wonder why the last guy did this?
Yeah.
Every time. And I'm like, it sounded like that's what you had to do. But the next guy always says, I wonder what this was for, why they did it like this.
Yep.
Every time. And I'm like bumfuzzled and baffled every single time around that. Okay, so here's one thing about financial advisors. He said toward the end of it is, how do they invest their own money? Number 1, financial advising normally, and that fiduciary responsibility and the titles people carry normally is about investments.
Yep.
And we like to start at the basics. Income under control. That's before investments. Income under control. Savings and spending under control. Goals set before we get into investment strategies. That's one, and that's big. Second thing that I wanted to mention, what anything to say on that?
No, it's good.
Okay. Another one is how people get paid. I want you to comment on that one.
Okay.
How are people getting paid? Are they paid when the market's up, down, left, right? Do they get paid off your money? Do they get paid off your asset? Whatever. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good question to ask because, like he mentioned, depending on how they get paid depends on if they're incentivized to actually be beneficial and helpful to you. There are a bunch of financial advisors in the space that do get paid based on a percentage or like your assets.
Assets under management.
Right, assets under management.
Right.
So they're going to get paid, like he mentioned, whether you're up, down, or equal, they're still going to get a check. And what that means for you, the individual, is that they don't have to make it better for you or try harder in order for them to get any money. They don't have to. And that's probably not who you want to work with. Does that make sense? I wouldn't hire the plumber that gets paid regardless if he fixes it, doesn't fix it, or it stays the same. No. I'm going to pay you to make it better, right? Does that make sense? And so if that was applied to these other categories and people and whatnot, it wouldn't be right. So that's really, really important. A good correlation to that is because we actually get asked pretty frequently how we get paid, right? All the time. So just in case you're listening for the first time, we help people set up the infinite banking concept, which is what we just talked about. It's this foundational system to save money. And then you can go deploy that money however you'd like to, kind of our save and spend. That's the spending aspect, the deployment aspect system that we talk about. And we don't actually get paid from anything that you contribute to the system.
And
say
it again.
Really, really important because some people go, no, well, if I have a big policy, a small policy, a medium policy, that directly relates to you and how you get paid. And it's just not true. And so because of that, we're actually incentivized to actually help. And if we actually help, then you end up wanting to work with us. You end up referring family members. I just got off the phone with a young lady who's getting a policy for herself, for her daughter. I just got done helping her, and she says, actually, I got a nephew. We need to do one for him too. And I don't get I've got a nephew and let's talk about him next if I didn't actually help them. Does that make sense? No one refers people who don't actually help. Right?
Sure.
Who don't actually do it. I don't refer them. In fact, people who don't actually do what they're supposed to do, I probably talk pretty poorly about them. And I think they've got done some surveys about this. You don't actually help someone, you do something poor, you tell 6 people or something that this person stinks and don't work with them and blah, blah. But when someone actually helps you and does a really good job, it's like you don't say anything.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. You might tell one person.
Yeah, you refer one person.
Yeah.
And it was great.
But you on Yelp giving bad reviews.
You get bad reviews, right? So that's really important to us. And we get that question a lot.
So number one that he said in that last video was, what type of credentials do people have?
Yep.
And he said, hey, remember that credentials don't mean the same thing.
Yep.
You can check them out and see what that means, all sorts of things. It depends on what type of financial advising you're talking about, because you could be talking about investments. You can talk about stocks. You can talk about taxes. There are all sorts of designations. Insurance, there's designations for those. And this is the one I always love. When he said at the end, remember, just because you have the designation doesn't mean you're not a ding-dong.
Yep.
That's how he said it.
Yep.
And Lord of mercy, this is where I go back to all the time. When I went to school, K through 12, in the same classes as everybody else, we went through together, and then you get out. Did everyone deserve a diploma? Did everyone get valedictory type grades?
Nope.
Did everyone think the same things, even though we sat in the same room?
Nope.
I grew up in the house with you. We have other siblings. Does that mean we've made all the same choices, even though we have the same parents and we heard the same rules and we even ate the same food?
Nope.
No, not at all. So remember that as well. So one of the things that I would give a suggestion here to boost your ability to get to where you want to go is to make sure that the end goal gets talked about with your financial coaching squad, your team. What we do around here is we look at a holistic version of the money that comes to you. And we take that income and make sure it hits the goals. We suggest you consider the goal of financial freedom, dollars that continue to come in, whether you work or not, that eventually become higher than your needs. We're talking about that when we talk about financial freedom. So if that's the route that we're going, you can add other people to the team. Financial advisements for investments, sure. Business partners, of course. Your spouse, your kids, tax efficiencies. You can add them to your team and act like it's okay for these people to deal with each other.
Yep.
And to know what your goals and your mindset is. I think there are a lot of people who get to the place where they become middle-aged, you might say, 50, 55, and they realize they're not on track for things they were never checking in the first place. And now they realize it's going to be a problem.
Yep.
I think that's huge. Jonah, what other financial resources can we go to, or what have you used to get people started? Like, how do you get into this?
Yeah, I said it earlier in the episode. I'll say it again. Go find your favorite. It doesn't hurt you to listen to podcast or YouTuber. subscribe to their channel, watch their videos. So you can sort by popular videos. You can sort by topics. Go watch them. If that's us for you, well, we appreciate you being here. But go sort through and listen to the topics that you're actually interested in. I've done this lots of times. In the past, I was debating with paying off the house, right? Maybe you guys remember this if you've been listening for a long time. Do I pay off the house? Do I not pay off the house? Do I what do you call the one? Do I refinance? Do I recapture, right? I went down this big rabbit hole. I discovered an option I wasn't familiar with previously.
Recasting.
Yes. And I decided after going down that rabbit hole, now that I discovered that recast is actually the option I wanted. But I had to go look first, right?
Yep.
It wasn't just call the bank and make a decision. That's like the video we just watched.
They have a singular focus there.
Right.
So they can help with certain things and give you certain things. But yeah, and the crazy thing is that whole recast thing that you got super excited about, saved a bunch of money, changed up your mortgage situation, was TikTok. That's where you started, I think.
Maybe. Okay.
I mean, I think you said you saw something on TikTok and then you started YouTubing.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That sounds about right. So I think that's really, really important. The other thing is if you need help with budgeting, there's 1,000 budget apps out there. Go get one of them. I used Mint for a while. It's not a sponsorship or anything like that. But I used them for a while. That was helpful. I think even the bank that we use currently has got like a budget thing that you can use,
and they give you a recap automatically.
There you go,
like monthly.
There's a couple of them that are popular out there that you can go find or use. Something else that I've done, I have Apple products. I got a computer right here and a phone or whatever. I started to go through the App Store and actually pay $2.99 for the app that does what I wanted. So in the finance space, I wanted somewhere to make like amortization tables on loans because I pay back a lot of loans to my policies. So I paid $1.99 for the app that does what I wanted. And so it's helpful. It's easier for me. It's on my phone now, and it does what I like. That sort of thing could be helpful for you. So I think that financial awareness isn't like a skill that you need to have. It's just like your mindset. So I think that when you take time to educate yourself about your finances, when you take time to control your future instead of just relying on somebody else to make decisions for you, you'll actually just be way better equipped to make smarter choices. You'll plan better, and ultimately you'll secure your own wealth and your freedom that I think that you deserve. You probably think you deserve it too. So I think that you've got to assess your own financial situation. We talked about that to start the episode.
Figure out where you are.
Right. Set your goals. Build your knowledge base. And I don't think that you need some sort of hidey-toddy financial advisor to tell you what to do. I think that you just need financial awareness, and you can develop that yourself. Because again, it's not really a skill. It's a mindset. So
shout out to this week's fan follow of the week, a YouTube subscriber, as we love to go to that channel, The Banking Bros, if that is not where you are yet. And hey there to Deshaun Dunn. Deshaun Dunn 85. Okay, so this cat looking real good and smooth. Hopefully he's enjoying some of our content there. Do you have any idea of, as we record, what's coming out this week for Deshaun to get into?
I have no idea what's coming out this week, but there's going to be a couple YouTube videos for you, Deshaun.
You tell us what you like.
More than likely, we're going to be diving into some myths like, oh, I've heard this about life insurance, or I've heard this about wealth building. Is it true? So we've got some videos coming out like that. That'll be really fun. And leave us a comment or drop us a question if you need. Or again, like I said early in the episode, if you want to hear something specific, some financial topics that are real specific for you, then ask them, and we'll probably jump into them. Probably get you some content.
That's it for today's episode of the Banking Bros podcast, financial awareness versus advisors. Hope you're leaving with a little more confidence to take personal charge of your financial future.
I really hope you're leaving with the key to know that financial awareness is yours. It's something in your mind. You've got the power to make your own financial decisions, and we think that you'll be great at it if you plug in, if you learn, and if you increase your awareness. So if you enjoyed today's episode, then don't forget to subscribe to us, right? Share it with a friend or two. Keep going on in this financial learning, education, awareness environment because we think that's everything. That's most important. It'll help you set your foundation.
All right. Catch you next time for more Code Cracking Cash Flow.
You are now tuned to the Banking Bros. Said we couldn't make it. 3 cups settled. This the life we chose. Gave a lot of
If you're ready to make money moves, to figure out where you are and where you'd like to be, we would love to be in that conversation with you very soon. Join our community of infinite bankers on Facebook, and make sure you go to saveandspendsystem.com for your free whole 1 hour walkthrough of what this is all about and the foundational tool for your financial awareness. And we'll talk to you on a free cash consultation very soon.